You ever notice if you try to brush your hair using your webcam and you don't put it on the mirror setting, you brush your hair like a retard? I like to call this one my YouTube video about things that piss me off. Number one, did you know that feminism is ruining atheism? It is. This is about the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard. I think the only thing dumber I've heard was the creationist scientist who said that fire-breathing dragons were dinosaurs who were breathing really thin air, so they had to breathe real fast and set their noses on fire. You know that guy. You know the guy I'm talking about. Yeah. This is right up there with that. How can you compare a non-belief in a god or gods to a struggle for equality, trying to get the same rights that men have that the women want? You know, equal pay, equal jobs. You know, they want equality. How is that the same? It's like saying sausage is ruining concrete. Isn't that if you're a feminist, you innately believe in God, or if you believe that women should have the same rights as men, you have to believe in God? Because if it is, I never read that in the Bible. In the Bible, it says that women have to. I guess for you it'd be women. In the Bible, it says that women should cleave to their husband, obey them, be subservient to them. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that shit in that book anymore. I believe the God in that book. So could it be that feminists are throwing Bibles at you, forcing you to become forcing you to become a theist? One feminist is caught telling more than her fair share of lies about the supposed injustices that men are committing, and suddenly, oh shit, now I gotta believe in God. Son of a bitch. Could have kept being an atheist if it weren't for that woman. Now I have to polish off my hymn book. What kind of person believes the quest for equality is related to being an atheist? I mean, aside from the fact that people are trying to take away rights from atheists, and women are trying to get rights given to them, and getting and giving they're almost opposite of each other. Feminists want rights given to them. An atheist just wanted not believe in God, or being pestered by theists who think they are trying to save us from some pretend or perceived threat. It's not the same. One cannot impact the other. I will not, nor can I change their minds, and they will not change mine. And I'm not likely to suddenly believe in God if the feminists win, nor will some of them become atheists. I'm sorry. I think a more correct statement would be feminism is ruining the MRA, because those whine-ass fuckers need to be ruined. I don't know. Maybe if someone can explain it to me in short, one-syllable words, preferably an iambic pentameter, or maybe a haiku. I might even accept a limerick if it's a good one. Then maybe, just maybe I'll get it. And another thing that bugs me is the Word of God, generally. Now, the Word of God is supposed to be spread freely to all people, everywhere. And if that's the case, why the fuck do I have to buy a Bible? Why do I have to commit the sin of stealing by taking one from a sleazy pay-by-the-hour hotel? And why, when you go to church, do they hand you a plate to empty your pockets on? That doesn't sound free to me. That sounds like paying for absolution. That was a common practice by priests in the Middle Ages, or stealing to get into heaven. Would Jesus want that? Did Jesus say, go forth into the world and make believers of all men? providing they have enough money. No, he did not. He said, the first shall be last, the least shall be the most, the weakest shall be the greatest, and the rich shall be the poorest. So, using Jesus' own logic, the church, from the Pope on down to the lowliest parish priest, will be beggars in heaven. Yet you have to buy a Bible. You have to pay for the floor show in the church. And George Carlin had it right. He said you shouldn't be giving money to them. They should be giving their money to you. And another thing that bugs me about this whole free religion thing are those fuckers who come to my house, knock on my door, and ask if I've heard the good news. I say the same thing every time. No. That you found Jesus and you don't have to come to my house, knock on my door, and bug me looking for him anymore? I swear to God, and that's with the small D, I'm going to go to a religious store one day and I'm going to buy about a dozen plastic Jesus about this fucking high. Then when they come to my door asking if I found Jesus, I'll say, just a second. And I'll go inside and I'll grab one and I'll hand it to them and say, here, now try not to lose him again. And shut the door on them. And another thing that pisses me off, and this one pisses me off, and I don't know why it pisses me off, but it just does. It's atheism plus. It's not enough anymore to say I don't believe in God. Now I have to say I really, really don't believe in God. I would have thought the suspension of belief was enough. Well, that's not exactly correct, is it? That would imply that I believe in God and pretend I don't for the sake of the argument or whatever. How do you add to not believing in something? What do we have to do? Become what a lot of religious people think that atheists are? Assholes? I think atheists should hold themselves to a higher standard. They should be more tolerant, more understanding, more open-minded, definitely, and more respectful, just like the religious nutjobs aren't. You aren't going to change any minds by arguing with them. But if you behave the way I just described, you will change your perception of what an atheist is, and that's a good first step. Then if they try to force that bullshit down your throat, become militant and fire a howitzer at them at point-blank range. But do it respectfully. I think I came up with an argument that the creationists haven't thought of yet. I believe I have. Listen to this. Pretend for a moment that everything in space is the same distance away. Say the distance of the moon. The moon is the same distance away as the sun. The sun is the same distance away as Andromeda. Andromeda is the same distance away as Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri is the same distance away as the edge of the known universe. So on, so on, so on. About 390,000 kilometers or so. Just pretend for it. Now pretend that it takes 3 days to get from the Earth to the moon, which is probably pretty close estimate. That would mean that it would take about 3 days to get from here to the sun, from here to Mars, from here to Alpha Centauri, from here to the Andromeda Galaxy, and from here to the edge of the known universe. Now just pretend for a minute that the only reason why it takes 3 days to get to the moon and longer to get to the sun would be because time, not distance. What if something said, okay, the sun is X amount of distance away, 390,000 kilometers, 300, whatever it is. Anyways, but because heat, light, gamma radiation, alpha radiation, beta radiation, VHS radiation, DVD radiation, whatever radiation happens to be coming from the sun, it has to travel slower. It doesn't travel slower. It just takes longer to get here. It's traveling at the same speed, just takes longer to get here. You get me? You get me? You see where I'm going with this? Hmm? You keep the perspective, you change the factor. You make the thing closer with longer to get to it. That's how you come up with science fiction. That's how you become a retard. And that's how you say God did it. 6,500 years ago, He created it. And He made people, made trees, and made rocks, and made dinosaurs. That's right. And Jesus came along and He rode the dinosaur. Rode the dinosaur into Jerusalem. Because dinosaurs were called asses back then, and donkeys were called donkeys. Because if you remember, the man was riding a donkey, and the donkey spoke to him and said, "Why is you whipping me?" And Jesus said, "Go down and get me an ass." Now back then, the dinosaurs, they were the asses, and the donkeys were the donkeys. 6,500 years ago, God made the earth and the moon, and He made the stars, and He made the sun, and He made all the other planets, and He made the galaxies, and He made the universe. 6,500 years ago. Now you're going to go, wait a minute. Way out there in space is this here light thingy, star. And its light's traveling at 186,000 miles per second. And you can't argue with that. Now, I ain't arguing with it be like. Shit ain't funny. What I'm arguing with is that star being out there billions of miles. It can't be. Now, 6,500 years. Nope. Scientists say 13 billion years for that travel across the universe. No, I don't believe that for a second, and I'll tell you why. Because God, when He made His dang old shoot matches, He said, what He said. Listen to what He said. He said, I'm going to put everything the same distance away. I'm just going to make the time to it a little longer. You get what I'm saying there? All right, so it takes 3 days to get the moon. 18 months to get to the planet Mars. 2,000 years to get to Alpha Centauri. And they're all same distance away. And I'll explain how that happens, okay? I live here in up there on the top of that hill 5 miles away. There's a town. Now I'm walking to that town. And it takes me a while to do it. But when I come back, it don't take as long. Same distance. Time is different. The moon and the sun are the same distance. They had to be. They all started from the earth and worked their way out. Because the earth is the center of everything. You know that, and I know that. You can't bullshit me on any of that stuff. Earth is the center of everything. Everything moved away. So it's all the same distance around the earth. 3 days to the moon. 18 months to Mars. Same distance. Only thing that changed is time. Because God did it. Thank you and good night.